Hey guys, Mr. Bowman here. We are carrying on with cubics, and today our learning objective is in blue, and we are learning to write the formula of a cubic using the factorised method. You will recall when calculating the formula of a parabola, we are using this formula in orange. Y equals ax plus b x plus c, where the b and the c related to the x-intercepts. We're going to be using a slightly different formula, but similar in many regards. Y equals a times x plus b times x plus c times x plus d. And the new part of our formula is that x plus d at the end, and that is what makes it a cubic as opposed to a parabola. Let's get into an example. We're going to start off with I've started writing blue, but we're going to start off writing the formula for the red parabola. And we're going to start by observing the graph and having a look at the x-intercepts. So our first one there, that is -1. Our second point there, that is 2. And our final x-intercept, that is equal to 5. So we're going to be using our formula to put these in. The first bracket is going to be x plus 1, and that relates to the -1 intercept because we're using the opposite value. We're then going to do x minus 2, and that minus 2 is the opposite to that positive 2. And we're then going to do x minus 5, and that is the opposite of the positive 5 intercept. After this, we're going to try to observe a point on our graph, which we can substitute in to solve for a. And I can see that point there. That looks pretty clear compared to some of the other points. And that would be point 3, 4. And at that point, x is equal to 3 and y is equal to 4. We're going to use both of those values and substitute it into our partial equation. And we're then going to use our algebra to solve for x. So 4 is equal to a, 3 plus 1, 3 minus 2, 3 minus 5. We're going to simplify all those brackets. So 4 is equal to a times 4 times 1 times -2. The right-hand side simplifies to -8a, which means a is equal to 4 divided by -8. A will then be equal to -1/2. That's the coefficient of our cubic, and we're going to use that and substitute it into our partial equation at the beginning, which makes the formula for this cubic y is equal to -1/2 times x plus 1 times x minus 2 times x minus 5. So that would be the equation of our red parabola. If you haven't got that working down, I strongly encourage you to pause the video and get all that working down so you have a worked example to help for later on. Right. Please pause the video now, and I'm going to be rubbing out our working so we can work on the blue graph next. Okay, with all our working gone, we're now going to work on the blue line, which I'm going to be writing in green pen. And we're going to start off by observing the x-intercepts of that blue cubic. So the first one on the right, that is equal to -5. The second one, -3. And the final x-intercept is 0. So like our first cubic, we have all 3 x-intercepts, and we can go in and substitute that into our equation. So let's start off. Y is going to be equal to a x plus 0. That relates to the 0 intercept. X plus 3. That is the opposite of -3, which relates to that intercept. And x plus 5. And that's the opposite of that -5. We're then going to observe a point on our graph to use the x and y values to substitute into our equation. And I can see a point pretty clearly down the bottom. And at that point, it would be -2, -6. We're going to write our coordinate down in our working. And at that point, x is equal to -2 and y is equal to -6. Both those values are going to be substituted into our equation to solve for a. So -6 is equal to a, -2 plus 0, -2 plus 3, and -2 plus 5. Let's go through and simplify all our equations, all those brackets. A times -2 times 1 times 3. That means -6 is equal to -6a. A will then be equal to -6 divided by -6. Therefore, a is going to be equal to 1. We're then going to substitute that back into our original equation. So our partial equation for the beginning is going to look like this. Y is equal to 1, x plus 0, x plus 3, and x plus 5. But what we're going to do is we're going to make this look a bit simpler than it is. That's going to be equal to that 1 we're going to ignore because anything times 1 will be the remaining. X plus 0, we don't need that in a bracket. That's just going to be x by itself. And the two remaining brackets, x plus 3 and x plus 5, will be unchanged, leaving that bottom line our final formula for the blue cubic. To summarize this video, we were learning to write the formula of a cubic using the factorized method. This method is very similar to the factorized method for parabolas, the only addition being that third bracket, x plus d, relating to a third x-intercept. Hopefully you find this video useful. Let's get into some examples now.